I'm Karl and I come from Adyen. I work in the Stockholm team. Today we're going to talk about what we learned as a payments company of processing over 10 billion transactions. Not everything we learned, but a few learnings at least. But first, some short brief intro of Adyen, because I expect not everybody knows what we do and who we are. So Adyen is a Dutch payments company. We've been around for a while now. Last year we processed 177 billion USD worth of transactions and growing. We have global offices all around the world. So in New York, San Francisco, we're headquartered in Amsterdam, but all around Europe, Stockholm, Berlin, London, as well as in Shanghai, Singapore, Tokyo. We're quite global by now. We have over 250 payment methods that our merchants can use and integrate to offer to your shoppers. And our solution is truly global, and through one single integration, you're able to offer all these payment methods with our one platform solution, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Traditionally in the payments world, a merchant would need to integrate to a PSP or a gateway, which also might need to be connected to a risk management system. In turn, these would be connected to processor schemes, and the acquirer would eventually put the funds on your account. So there's a lot of complexity here, and what we did was take full control of this value chain. So we're gateway, risk management system, we're acquirer, and do everything between the merchant and the schemes. So, animations don't work, that's fine. So in the bottom you see how we do it, and this platform can be reached in the same way globally, and this is independent of the sales channels you're present in. So if you're an offline merchant, in-store merchant, point of sale merchant, you can use the same hardware and integration in Brazil as in Scandinavia or in Singapore. And of course, if you're an e-commerce merchant, that apply as well. We have one API that gives you access to all those payment methods that you can utilize. And maybe most applicable for today, we have a Magento plugin as well that's developed and built in-house that lets you leverage this, our platform. So these are the few merchants that have chosen to work with us. And as you can see, they're from all different kinds of verticals. You see a couple of local players, Printful, Taxify, but then you have quite big tech, or the bigger tech giants, Spotify, Uber, Grab. You have retail merchants both doing offline and online payments. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some of the experiences that we've had from processing so many transactions. And I think this really relates to what the DHL was talking about as well, that it's in customer expectations are higher than ever, and it's on their terms now. Because traditionally, everything was based on the merchant's setting. They dictated the rules in their shops, but today we have the phone in our hand, right? Which is, of course, has quite some implications for how merchants do business. So the bar for a great customer experience is higher than ever. And understanding your customer will help you sell more in the end. So we did a study based on retail data for retail merchants that operates both online and offline. So with presence on our platform, both e-commerce and point of sale. And this is some of the findings that we had. The first was that online loyalty starts in store. So we defined two sets of shoppers. We had a single channel shopper, which only purchased through one channel, so either only point of sale or only e-commerce. And then we have the omni-channel shoppers, of course, shopping across channels then. So here are some numbers that we can see of doing such analysis. The single channel shoppers, they purchase twice a year from the retailer. whereas the omni-channel shoppers, they purchase 4 times per year on average from the same retailer. Of the single-channel shoppers, those that are single-channel shoppers only, 80% of those only shop in-store, only point of sale, whereas 20% of those are online only. And looking at the omni-channel shoppers' spending behavior, 60% of their spending in this study was in-store spending, and 40% was e-commerce. And on average, the omni-channel shopper spends 30% more than the single-channel shopper. So this really shows that having physical presence is still relevant today, even though, of course, just as DHL also showed, of course, we're seeing a shift towards e-commerce as well. But this really shows that physical presence is still relevant. Secondly, we found that your shop is a phone. This should come as no surprise that mobile today is on par with the desktop. Here's some regionality differences that you can see as well. But basically, mobile is catching up and taking over desktop. Looking at spending behavior on our platform in this study, soon, we saw that the average transaction value of a purchase made on the phone is 60 euros, whereas on the desktop is 126. And of course, this is expected because convenience is a driver here. And then payment methods are really local. Even though we have the major payment methods, Visa and MasterCard, American Express, the credit cards, the payment methods are really it's really market specific. So, for instance, in Sweden you have Swish, that's very popular. Here you have online banking payment methods. In Holland you have Ideal. Chinese shoppers like to use WeChat Pay and so on. And not only do we see that shoppers spend more when they're faced with their local payment methods, but also that they are more willing to pay. You see a higher conversion when you're offering the right payment methods to your merchants. And thirdly, also related to the last part, that your phone is your wallet. Last year, or 2018 compared to 2017, we saw an increase with mobile wallets purchases online of 40%, whereas in-store they increased with 400%. This can be related to Apple Pay being released on a lot of new markets where this study was made as well. So how comfortable are shoppers with the mobile wallets? Well, in-store we see the same average transaction value as any other card type. But online purchases, we see on average 10 euros more for offering for shoppers that are utilizing the mobile wallets. And one group of spenders that really sticks out in this is the Chinese tourist. They shop twice as many times as the benchmark, with 4 times the higher average transaction value of 400 euros. And they really like to use their local payment methods, or their payment methods, WeChat Pay and Alipay. And this relates not only to e-commerce environment, but also to in-store point of sale environment. So utilizing our platform and using data that we can provide to the merchant, we have a few examples here that I'd like to show you. So first off, we have Sneakers and Stuff. It's a Swedish sneaker retail merchant which sells sneakers both online and offline. And they have what's called a raffle. A raffle is basically a lottery that you can enter to buy one pair of sneakers. And because these sneakers are so sought after, the reseller value of these are very steep, which means that people take advantage of that to sell them secondhand, and they don't want to have that behavior on their shop. So they're utilizing our platform to mitigate that. So they do this by our risk management system in a sophisticated way. So this is not something that we usually advise to our merchants, but they, of course, only allow the shoppers to purchase one item once. And of course, they can block that on the page themselves. Of course, you can't enter to buy more than one pair of sneakers. But we track things for them based on the IP address, the card number, the MAC address, and so on, and connect everything to a big network and make sure that that shopper can only purchase once, regardless of the where they do that purchase. Another example with a merchant utilizing payment methods globally is Daniel Wellington, by now well-known watch maker merchant, which have been on Magento for a long while and also a partner with Adyen for a long while. And they've been expanding across the globe, entering markets like Asia with a high demand of being able to offer those payment methods that are relevant in those markets. So, for instance, WeChat Pay and Alipay was super important for them to be able to cater for their Chinese shoppers. And finally, the last example of how we can utilize, or merchant can utilize our platform, and this is from a more analysis perspective, because we have this one platform where we can see all the data and pass this through to the merchants as well. They can make sophisticated analysis based on that. So for every card that we process on our platform, we make a unique card alias, we can call it that. And this card alias is passed back to the merchant in real time, and they can store it on their end and do this kind of analysis. So they were looking at, this is a grocery merchant asking themselves the question, how much cannibalization do we have if we open a new store in an existing area that we already have stores? And of course, they've tried to do this analysis previously, but only with their own loyalty cards. And of course, that sample might skew the data, might not be representative for the whole population, right? So they use those unique card aliases to see which have been purchasing in our existing stores and which we're moving towards purchasing from the new store that we open. And in that way, being able to see some results. And what they saw was, yeah, I mean, they saw, of course, some cannibalization, but they also can have an informed decision on where they should open stores based on this kind of analysis. Another type of analysis that they also can make is to see customer acquisition versus retention. What should we focus on? So looking at the total amount of shoppers in one period towards the next period, they could see an increase of 10% by total amount of shoppers. But also combining this with the unique aliases that we can provide to them, they can see they actually lost 30% of their existing base, but added 40% of new customer acquisitions. So in this way, they can make decisions on should we focus on customer acquisition or retention. So with this, we on Adyen want to tell you that data wins the game from a payments perspective as well. And understand your shopper's behavior is key. And make sure to offer those global or local payment methods in a global way really helps you expand and grow your business as a merchant. And the study that this presentation was based on can be found on this QR code if you'd like to download it as well. And that was it for me. Thanks. Thank you.